Barcelona's youth academy La Masia is the best in the world, and it ain't even close. Barcelona already once built one of the greatest ever teams out of mostly players from La Masia, and they might be about to do so again. Without La Masia, this season and Barcelona's dark years would have been twice as bad, and honestly, Barcelona's future completely depends on La Masia. In this video, we'll look at how important La Masia has been in Barcelona's recent years, and we will also look at some of the talents that are still yet to break through. So, let's just get right to this. First, let's look at how this season has been. It hasn't been that great of a year for Barcelona, but without La Masia it would have been much worse. In that regard, Lamine Yamal is the first player to come to everyone's mind. Without Lamine Yamal, our attack wouldn't have been dangerous at all in some games. Barcelona's attack this season has been led by the 16-year-old prodigy. Without him, it's arguable that we would have been 3rd or 4th in La Liga right now, and that we would have been eliminated by Napoli in the Champions League. He is arguably Barcelona's MVP of the season. He is so good that he can just decide to change the game at any moment. Think about Barcelona's 3-3 draw against Granada, where he saved Barcelona with one simple moment of genius. In the future, Lamine Yamal can very well go on to become Barcelona's new talisman. It's just important not to overload him like what happened with Pedri and Koeman some years ago. Out of all the big talents Barcelona have had in the past 5 years, he is the brightest. Cause what he does really is unseen. He is the crown jewel of this new La Masia generation that is saving Barcelona. But he is certainly not the only one. Cause next we have to talk about Pau Cubarsi. Where would Barcelona have been right now without him? Just like Lamine Yamal, he has saved Barcelona from mediocrity this season. Barcelona's defense in the first half of the season was a big problem, because players like Koundé and Araujo weren't as good as 1 year ago, and because of a more attacking way of playing with João Cancelo who came in. There was no real balance in our defense for months. There were very few games where Barcelona actually kept a clean sheet. Then, when Cubarsi came in, and when Araujo and Koundé got into better form again, Barcelona's defense finally started looking better again. And if you look back at it, Barcelona have had their best months of the season in March and April, with Cubarsi in their lineup. He is not only extremely solid defensively though. On the ball, he is just surreal. He gives forward passes that you would expect someone like Pedri or Gundogan to give. He is the perfect Barcelona defender. Him and Araujo together with Koundé at right back is a phenomenal backline. Against PSG and Real Madrid, João Cancelo was to blame for most of the goals conceded. Cause against Pau Cubarsi, even likes of Mbappé, Dembélé and Bellingham had a hard time. He is only 17 right now, and as long as he can stay consistent and relatively injury-free, he could very well be Barcelona's rock in defense for the coming decade and beyond. So again, just like with Lamine Yamal, it's important not to overload him, cause he could really be Barcelona's go-to centre back for a long time. So yeah, without La Masia, Barcelona this season would have been nowhere at all. And that is only more so if you realize how important Fermin Lopez has been. He might not have been a starting 11 player at all times, and he might not be as talented and technical as players like Lamine Yamal or Pedri, but he does add a lot to this team. With all of the injuries this season in midfield, Barcelona needed someone like Fermin Lopez to not have to rely on the likes of Oriol Romeu. He's maybe not as good as someone like Gundogan or Frenkie de Jong, but he does add something that nobody else has. He goes forwards, he tries to shoot from distance, he presses aggressively. His profile is unique. In some games like the one against Napoli, he proved to be crucial. So again, where would we have been this season without La Masia? Fermin Lopez has really had an important role for Barca. But what about the future? Barcelona's midfield seems pretty stacked for the coming years. In the interior roles or attacking midfields, you've got Pedri, Gavi, Frenkie de Jong, even Gundogan still. So can Fermin Lopez ever become a starting 11 player? Well, Frenkie de Jong might leave Barcelona someday, but as long as Gavi and Pedri can stay relatively injury-free, they're probably going to occupy those interior roles. In any case though, we will always need depth in our midfield, and if you think about how injury-prone Pedri is and that Xavi can also play with 4 midfielders, I think Fermin Lopez can easily get enough minutes in the coming years. He might very well even start becoming more and more important. With his profile, he's one of the most valuable players in his Barcelona squad. So, what have we learned? Without La Masia this season, Barcelona would have been nowhere. Then add to that how important Gavi and Alejandro Baldé have been for the past couple of years. Even this season. Before his injury, Gavi was arguably Barcelona's best player. He was capable of everything. He was Barcelona's glue in midfield, but also the one who recovered balls. It is when he got injured that Barcelona's midfield started lacking stability. Remember that 2-4 loss at home against Girona, where Barcelona just got run over? Well, with a player like Gavi in midfield, Girona would not have put 4 goals past us. For that same reason, Xavi started deploying Andreas Christensen in defensive midfield. We just needed a player up there who could recover balls. Now, Gavi is a player who has both that defensive contribution that Christensen has, while also having the press resistance that someone like Pedri has. He is La Masia's big midfield jewel of this generation, and he might have been injured for a long while, but once he's back, you'll see an immediate increase in quality in Barcelona's general play. And as for Alejandro Baldé, it really seems we have a generational player for our left-back spots. Offensively, with his pace, with his dribbling, he adds a lot to the team, while defensively, he's also secure. This season, also because of Baldé's injury, João Cancelo has become the main left-back. But while João Cancelo may be great in offense, his decision-making and how he assesses some situations, I don't know. Alejandro Baldé is a safer option at left-back. And in the long term, I would also expect him to be really important for Barcelona in that role. Gavi and Baldé may have been around for a while now already, but there's no denying that without them, Barcelona wouldn't have been where they are today. Long story short, La Masia has been Barcelona's light in the darkness for the last couple of years. But even in the coming years, its role in Barcelona's first team might become even more prominent. First off, we have to talk about some maybe players. Players that show promise and have already played for the first team, but aren't as prominent as the likes of Lamine Yamal and Pau Cubarsi. Players like Marc Guiu and Hector Fort. Are these guys good enough to ever become starting 11 players? To be fair, for me personally, these guys give me the same vibes as someone like Nico Gonzalez. They're really promising, but I don't really know whether they'll ever get a place in that team. In any way though, these kind of players can be important for the depth of the team and can come in handy in case of any injury. But for all we know, someone like Hector Fort might start truly blossoming next year and become a great option at right back for the coming decade. Marc Guiu is also a player that we've not seen very much of yet, but he could actually go on to become a huge asset for Barcelona in the future. The striker position at Barcelona is kind of a problem these days. Lewandowski is declining, and Vitor Roque, who came in January, hasn't really been able to fit into the team yet. Marc Guiu has showed promising signs whenever he's been out there on the pitch. So in the coming years, I wouldn't be surprised to see him get more and more game time and, in the best case scenario, become Lewandowski's replacement. Lastly, there are some big talents out there that most people don't even know of yet. I mean, 2 years ago, the main football fanbase and even lots of Barca fans didn't know who Lamine Yamal was. Also right now, there are some new Lamine Yamals out there. First of all, there's Guille Fernandez, a 15-year-old central midfielder who has been impressing everyone in La Masia for years. Barcelona will always be the breeding factory of world-class midfielders, and he might be the next one in line. He's got everything. Press resistance, vision, passing, shooting. He is a typical La Masia midfielder. Guille Fernandez, remember the name. Then there's also Juan Hernandez, who is 16 years old, another potential world-class midfielder from La Masia. Juan Hernandez is slightly more attacking than Guille Fernandez and is a real creator. He is great at dribbling, playmaking, passing, you name it. He is comparable to a player like Zinedine Zidane. There's obviously lots of other big talents out there. Guille Fernandez and Juan Hernandez are only two of the most prominent of them. The bottom line is, La Masia hasn't only been Barcelona's big power in the last couple of years with the likes of Gavi and Lamine Yamal, it will keep on being our stronghold and big talents will keep on breaking through. La Masia was Barcelona, is Barcelona, and will always be Barcelona. Without it, I don't know where Barcelona would be right now. Sure, you can buy promising players at a young age for a good fee, like we did with Pedri and like Real Madrid has also done with Fede Valverde, Vini Jr., Rodrigo or Camavinga. But given Barcelona's financial situation, having La Masia really is what has prevented Barcelona from becoming the new Man United or AC Milan, and it will be the engine behind Barcelona's next great era as well. La Masia is truly what has saved Barcelona. That was it for today's video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and feel free to share your own opinion in the comments down below. Força Barça, Força La Masia, and have a good day.